Today, the moon continues in Libra, bringing a focus to relationships and partnerships and cooperation, collaboration, friendships, peers, colleagues, any kind of one-to-one relationship, romantic or otherwise, with the moon forming a square to Jupiter just a little after 9 a.m. Pacific time. We could see a little bit of emotion coming to the surface. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro vibe for Friday, February 6th. We continue with the moon in Libra today, bringing that vibe of the day that focuses on what is coming up in our relationships. And with that square of the moon to Jupiter in Cancer, we may have some big feelings. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance. Cancer is the sign of feeling and caring. So, focusing on needs and focusing on what your needs are in relationship could be something coming to a head having to do with that. We are also, of course, looking at Libra and how to bring about balance, where we might need to focus on finding our own voice or bringing our needs, our true self to the table, so that we're not overly compromising, becoming a doormat for others, and making sure to bring the truth and the wholeness of who we are to show up in our relationships, because that is what real balance means. It means being yourself and having space to be yourself. So there may need to be a little bit of feelings expressed in order to further that ideal of having true balance in relationships. We've also got Mercury going into Pisces today. So the Mercury, the planet of communication and ideas, processing things mentally, shifts from Aquarius, higher level thinking, into Pisces, going with the flow. So that will begin a process of focusing on more on nonverbal communication and cues and things that are being said below the surface. So there's always, of course, what is being said at the surface level, and then there's what's not being said. So depending on, those carefully chosen words that are being spoken, and then really looking to understand what's going on beneath that, but also sort of in that nonverbal communication and those other realms of sort of, where the information really is the full truth being shared, is part of the truth being shared, is something misleading being shared. So looking for those and asking those questions with Mercury in Pisces. We also have Saturn in its final week now of being in Pisces before it will head into Aries in preparation for the exact conjunction with Neptune, although they are already close enough to be in a conjunction. So it's just not quite exact yet, but their energies are very much entwined right now, as they were last summer when they came very close to an exact conjunction. So that bigger picture of the cycle between Saturn and Neptune, about Saturn and how things take shape, how things gain structure, gain a form, and how things have those hard limits, boundaries, rules that define them. So it's not just that Saturn is the planet of boundaries and limits, it's that Saturn is the planet of definition. So what is a definition when you go to look up a word, right? It's like there's an explanation of what the word means. And is meaning fluid? Can meaning change over time, right? Because the essence of what a word is dependent on a lot of different things. But still, it has a definition, and in, you know, the given time and place and the reference you're using and the resource you're looking at, that definition is given, and you can say this is the meaning of this word. So that, just looking at the definition of the word definition, just stay with me here. Okay, so Saturn is the planet of definition, right? It is definition itself. It is how things take shape. It is how we understand what is real, what is true, or what the meaning of something is. But it's also the physical properties of things. So, you know, you've got a thing, take an object, take my little you know, ceramic vase that's here in my background. And it's a physical thing. It has physical properties. It has weight. It has all these things that are relatively unchanging about it. But someday that ceramic vase could be shattered, right? And then it wouldn't have the same shape anymore. so, so Saturn is the form and the shape that things take. It is not forever. It is simply in a time and place according to how it is now. This is what it is. And these are the boundaries and limits we can describe its physical properties. So that's Saturn. And then you have Neptune. And Neptune is that bigger picture of transcendent truth. So in the case of the vase, the transcendent truth of that vase is that it has these properties. It is a thing that we might have a dream about. It is a thing that we might remember and describe to a friend, right? We don't have to physically be holding the tangible thing to be, in a sense, able to describe its essence. So that's what Neptune is about. It's about the essence of a thing. And Saturn is about the form and the shape and the physical parameters of a thing. So these two energies come together. And what you have is the ability to give shape to things in new ways based on how you conceptualize that bigger truth, that bigger essence. And so we can have things in the world that dissolve or break down or change shape because Neptune and that energy just says, you know, hey, we don't have to be limited by this only one thing of doing, only one way of doing things. And then with that Neptunian energy, we can tap into a bigger picture of what do we want it to look like? How would we recreate a vase? So, you know, in my in my silly example here, I could take that vase out of the picture, right? And I could leave no vase, or I could get something different to put there. But it would be like, that's the possibility that's there. And you know, maybe my imagination might say, hey, what if you did, you know, put something else there? And in fact, I have thought about putting a plant there, and I've thought about what kind of plants, you know, would do well in this kind of environment and all that kind of stuff. But that's me imagining, right? I haven't done it. We still have a vase. So anyway, that is how we can think about Saturn and Neptune coming together, is that it's like we can tap into the infinite possibility and then bring that into making something real. And that's where the construct is. We can create a new construct with new physical parameters, something to take shape in new ways. And that can happen in, you know, a gazillion different ways. So it could be something that we imagine for bringing change to the world, and what kinds of structures or constructs would work better for us than ones we've had in the past. Or it could be something very tangible in your own personal life that's like, you know what, it's time for that thing to be gone. I don't need it anymore. Getting rid of a thing, getting rid of or changing something in your environment. changing your space, those very physical, tangible things that you don't always, they're there every day. So you don't always think about changing them, but they could change, right? It could change. So imagining, what would you want to change and what would that look like? So that's Saturn and Neptune coming together. So we've got this week still of Saturn in Pisces, really that ability to imagine what lies beyond the constructs or the limitations of what we experience in the here and now, so that we can imagine for that bigger picture what we want to create. And over time, which like I said, this Saturn Neptune conjunction is not, uh, it takes time to unfold, and its energies are with us for it throughout 2025, really, and then also 2026, where we can imagine what it is we want to create that would be new, and how we can tap into what our hearts really want, the bigger picture principles that matter most, what our values are, and how we want to align with those values. And so, really thinking about how we can expand into that bigger picture. So, we've got this one more week left of Saturn in Pisces to allow things to dissolve and make way for the new things we're going to create with the Aries action energy once Saturn goes into Aries. But enough about that. I do want to let you know that my interview with Louise Eddington is now available. Next speaker in the Emergence guest speaker series, focusing on the Saturn Neptune conjunction. And Louise takes us way big picture, way, way big picture. She is going to share with you the ages and the energies of these 2,000-year periods of time, 3 of which have passed since the last time Saturn and Neptune had their conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. And why 0 degrees Aries is so important and so meaningful and significant for our times, and how it fits in the bigger picture, in the context of the bigger picture, that goes back 6,000 years and even further, getting even bigger picture with Louise, who does not hold back in sharing with us big picture themes about mythology, goddess energy, and so much more over a 26,000-year cycle. What is changing now, how we can shape that, how we can work with this energy. So really, really cool, very, very insightful, powerful. I think it will impact you profoundly to join us for this interview. So it's available now at transformationalastrology.com. So go get it now with early access before it goes public on my YouTube channel. And go ahead and get a free account so you'll be notified of each speaker for that early access prior to the video being publicly available on YouTube. All right. Thanks for being here. I'm Marina Orms. Thank you for subscribing to this YouTube channel and for joining me on this fascinating journey of self-discovery and following each day with the astrology for unshakable self-care. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.